Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening...
And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
You're listening to the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Ro Moran, Chino Liao, and Rowan ASH checking in on your Picks of the Week episode. And if you missed Chino's glorious return to the pod, you can check out yung pangangamusta namin sa kanya on our weekend reactions episode, which should be out on your feeds already. We also reacted to the big news surrounding Vince McMahon's departure from WWE and TKO, and yung reactions namin to the Royal Rumble and everything huge that happened there. But for this one, we're talking about the picks of the week, and this is basically yung favorite matches and moments namin from this week in wrestling that you have to catch up on in case you don't have the same bandwidth that the rest of us do to catch, well, everything. Before that, though, you got to let us know if you want to attend an Elimination Chamber watch party. That's something we asked on our Facebook page this week, facebook.com/wrestling podcast. If you want an Elimination Chamber watch party, and if you're showing up, let us know in the comment section. Saturday yan, February 24, 8 p.m. Manila time. Kasi yung Perth at Manila, same time zone sila. So if you tell us that you want a watch party, we will organize a watch party. Ganun kasimple, all right? Facebook.com/wrestling podcast for that one.
Yeah, we gotta
First
get the
time-
Outcast together.
Yeah, first time daw ni babyface producer Jasper
Yeah.
sa sports bar at night kung mangyari yan. Kaya tupagin natin
Yeah.
ang pangarap ni Jasper na
It's
pumunta
true.
ng sports bar ng gabi.
It has been a
To be
while.
fair, it is an experience.
It
Diba?
is, yeah, it is. Pero
So,
it
yeah.
is gonna be it is gonna be a trip. So we'll find out if a lot of you want to do it. You gotta let us know agad kasi medyo delicate siya for sports bars because there are a lot of things going on at night. So we'll have to book that as early as we can.
Mm-hmm. So let us know, all right? Facebook.com/wrestling podcast. Let's get to our picks of the week. We're going to start with you, Chino, since ikaw yung bagong balik.
Yes. Okay, so this pick I make with the caveat, that's a little old. It's about 2 months old. It came out just on my feed as I was catching up on all the wrestling things that happened over the weekend. But it is an episode from Mythic Kitchen's Last Meal. So if you don't know what Mythic Kitchens is, it is Good Mythical Mornings talk show wherein their chef/host Josh talks with a guest about anything and everything under the sun, under the context of what their last meal would be on this earth. And this episode that I caught actually had Seth freaking Rollins as one of the guests. And it was such a good, compelling episode because on it, Seth talked about growing up in the Midwest. He talked about his early gimmicks. He talked about his longevity as a wrestler, having sushi in Japan with Becky Lynch. Ang dami ng kinover na topics, and it also gives you a deeper insight to his psyche because he also talked about the morality of being a tweener, of being a babyface who gets away with heel things, as he puts it. So ang gandang insight into how he processes his wrestling mind and how he treats the business as a limited time frame, diba? Because of his many injuries. And it's just very significant na nakuha ko siya on this day that we were recording picks of the week that I had to share it kahit medyo luma na.
Yeah, I was listening to it. I was listening to it because I was driving. I treated it like a podcast. Yes, it was a typical. It was a typical interview. I think it's not dissimilar to Hot Ones, right? Where they eat food, they talk about themselves. So because of that, I more enjoyed the fact that they were talking about food. I enjoyed the fact that Seth was discussing yung history niya, yung personal history niya with the food that he chose as his last meal. A lot of stories there. And food is important to all of us. Whether it depends on what you like. May syempre, we all have our personal relationships with that, and that's what I enjoyed listening to.
I think my favorite part dun sa video na yun is that Seth Rollins was drinking a can of Pepsi, or that's his pick for his last meal. Na uminom ng can of Pepsi, and a lot of people were like, "Is this a CM Punk reference?" And this was back in November. Yeah. So yeah, and look at us now. We're right here. We're gonna have Punk versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Obviously, it was not a CM Punk reference.
I know. Pero nakakatawa lang that.
Yeah, sure. Kasi Pepsi. Kasi,
yeah.
Why is that man not endorsing Pepsi yet?
Yeah.
He has it on his arm. So.
Punk.
Well, he did say na on a podcast, AEW Unrestricted, na he doesn't drink soda anymore.
Okay.
He just drinks this sparkling water. That's it.
Okay. Good for him. Chino, do you want to talk about your pick from this actual week in wrestling, or you want
this actual week in wrestling is the second most compelling thing I've seen was the promo between Cody Rhodes and Mr. Punk that happened last week on Monday Night Raw, and I say compelling because they really took us through the wire of their personal histories, of them calling each other out on their BS. And it really just delivered the hype. And I'm all about the hype. It made me hyped for this Royal Rumble just because they were calling each other out. And that face-off that they had was electric to the point that I kind of wanted to see this happen. A Punk versus Cody happen. And hopefully we get it before WrestleMania because it actually has a lot of big match potential.
Yeah. I mentioned my feelings about this on live stream last week. It didn't hit for me, but mostly because I found, Punk being of, egoistic, fragile masculinity niya. I thought it was funny more than it was intense or anything. Like, you say that I'm more CM Punk than you are. Like, and then he flew off the handle, and it was so funny to watch because napaka fragile ng ego niya, whether it was his actual ego or his character's ego, whatever it was. I think at this point they're the same because they're using all his personal history in the story, diba? So Cody and Drew, they have better personal stories, I feel. When they are involved in the trash talking and the promo battles, mas compelling siya for me. But Punk, was just being Punk, and I get what they were trying to do. Again, I get what they were trying to do. Syempre, it's the hot dramatic thing with all the backstage info, all the backstage references, and I know a lot of people liked it. I know the crowd at the time was, so focused on it, so listening so closely that they didn't make a lot of noise. Kaya I think it worked, but not for me.
I did enjoy yung nag-uungkatan sila, and then the funny part is when CM Punk said, "I can separate business from personal. Can you?" And I just remembered, like, wait, this is what he did nung nasa AEW siya. So, and yeah, who would have thought na in 2024, CM Punk is gonna fight another EVP? Well, he's not an EVP anymore, pero he's another AEW EVP.
That was the last EVP he had to fight.
Kaya
Kompleto na lahat.
Before
kaya nakakatawa
with VP Triple Crown. Yeah.
Kaya nakakatawa nung after the Rumble, you know how Cody celebrated. Too sweet, and then point the WrestleMania sign. Yeah.
I also discussed yung feelings ko on this nung live stream last week. Again, pretty compelling stuff, and I'm pretty sure na magtatagpo pa rin naman yung mga landas na Punk and Cody, whether it's on the road to WrestleMania or after Cody finishes the story. All right, let's cross over to Dynamite and go to Raw for his pick.
Yeah, Dynamite main event. We talked about how it was badly promoted, but it was still a hell of a match. The match that nobody ever dreamt of. Tama si Excalibur there when he said that. Because nobody, if you asked us like 2 years ago, or even a year ago, if Adam Copeland or Edge was going to go up and wrestle Minoru Suzuki, I would have asked you, how is that going to happen? And it's super great. The novelty of this is kind of what drives it. But again, like I mentioned when Chino and I picked Edge versus Moriarty from last week, it's really Adam Copeland enjoying his time as a latter career wrestler, filling out the bucket list, working other styles that he didn't really get to. So WWE, because WWE is a little bit really homogenized when it comes to wrestling there. So I enjoy watching him try his hand in wrestling Puro style, New Japan style, a lot of that stuff. It's funny in a way when you look at it because you never expect him to see it. You never expect him to do something like that. But I appreciate that this guy really loves pro wrestling and wants to do it in so many different ways as possible. Okay, love of the game. It's a love of the game thing, and you love to see it.
Yeah. So I hear some people would say that whenever Edge or Cope shows up, it's not special anymore because he pretty much wrestles every week, diba? Because in WWE he would show up on TV sporadically and wrestle on the pay-per-view only. Pero I disagree kasi this match delivered. Again, it's something none of us asked, pero we got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciated the attempt from Adam Copeland here. I think I can also see why it was a little funny. To be honest, I see Adam Copeland mismo na nagsabi na he hasn't been hit that hard ever in his career. So na-appreciate ko yung attempt niya. Although for me, as somebody who grew up with Edge and who only knows him as Edge, this whole Cope Open is still it still takes a little while for me to get accustomed to. But again, I don't think he is doing it for the fans at this point. I think he's doing it for himself as a wrestler. And kung yun yung gusto niyang gawin, go for it. Diba? Na-accomplish naman niya lahat ng gusto niyang gawin in his wrestling career. So if there are bucket list items for him that he wants to do, go ahead. It is a little it is a little random to see Minoru Suzuki Adam Copeland matchup and even in 2024.
No, it's only random kasi nga hindi siya pin-promote. Yun lang. Yeah. Like, diba, if it had been promoted. Kasi si Cope, sinabi niya na diba, nung nag-promo siya nung Collision after defeating Moriarty. I'm seeing the young guns step up. Where are the vets? Where are the old guys? And we said this on the live stream last week. It was the perfect opportunity to have Suzuki's music play or have him cut a promo or whatever. But no, Chino, you didn't get lost. I'm just saying na yun lang, just a missed opportunity to promote the match and make it less random. Kasi in theory, lahat ng mga kalaban ni Copeland, puro random lang, diba? Kasi nga, it's an open challenge storyline.
Yeah, no, yun lang. I gets ko na random. But then for Adam Copeland, the person and the wrestling fan, I can also appreciate why it's a big deal for him. So siguro, kaya hindi nila AEW for all its faults, diba? Always just delivers on these dream matches. Pero at the same time, they don't always do a good job at announcing it to the world. That's not to get as many people on it as possible. Yung Minoru Suzuki, Bryan Danielson yun, nilagay nila sa libre, di ba? As a pre-show match. So it's really just something that needs to be fixed, I guess, but also not new for AEW.
One other thing I wanted to add, when Chino said that he was doing it for himself, a lot of fans, even some wrestlers, they don't understand. Sometimes there are wrestlers that do things not because they were trying to get over, but because there were things that they wanted to do artistically. There were ways that they wanted to express themselves. And while it's not always great, it's not always advisable, kapag harmless siya, like when Cope is trying to wrestle as many different people as possible, it's a beautiful thing. Some people might not understand it. It's some people who grew up on old school American wrestling will wonder why this guy is trading forearm shots and barely selling, quote unquote. But the art is the art, the sport is the sport, and there are some things that you just have to do as an artist to fulfill yourself creatively.
Yeah, I was about to expound on that rather. Seeing Edge wrestle as if he were in New Japan was pretty amazing. Diba? Kasi he's a WWE lifer, and here he is exploring what's on the other side, what's outside the WWE bubble. So to see him go toe-to-toe with a Japanese legend, to wrestle a style that he was largely kept away from throughout basically his entire adult career or his adult life, was very refreshing. And it was a good way to break the monotony of Cope facing younger guys every week during the Cope Open. So I can see why you picked this match. And I loved it. I really enjoyed watching Cope take on Minoru Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, he's Chico Garcia.
And he's Gino Killiamore.
We're the hosts of Only Fun.
In our podcast, we explore the boundaries of our pleasure.
And test the limits of our pain?
It's business in the front.
And party in the rear? Wait, what? Wait, we talk about shows that we watch that might, be entertaining for everyone else, right?
Yep, that's what I said. Check out our podcast. New episodes out Wednesdays and Fridays.
No drama, only fun.
Let's move on to Rowan and Emile's shared pick from the Royal Rumble.
So yeah, Emile's pick, or para sa kami, may +1 na ako. So men's Royal Rumble match. So Emile says here na he likes how WWE did not rely that much to surprise entrants for the Royal Rumble match, which goes to show that the current roster is deep. They needed to tell stories that people are invested in, and there were so many storylines that were established or further advanced in that match. Sinabi din dito ni Emile that the moment where it got down to the final four was when the match really peaked in its drama. Any one of them had a legit case of winning the Rumble, and the crowd at Skinny Mike's were at the edge of their seats with nobody has any idea who was going to win. And to end his take, the Cody win was perfect. They are committed to finishing that story, and despite all the news and rumors swirling around who's gonna face who at the biggest show of the year, one thing remains the same. The main event of WrestleMania 40 has to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I agree with all the things that Emile said, pero for me, what I liked about the Royal Rumble match, of course, is the Usos opening the match. I saw that coming, pero it really feels good when you see it actually happen. What else? Andrade returning to the WWE, and like Emile said, the entrance being good, even if it's just the current roster. And what's good too is that there's still an element of surprise kahit current roster lang yung ginamit nila. But I also like na nagkatotoo yung Final Four ko. And my only issue is that sa men's, well, including na rin yung women's, is that men's Rumble and women's Rumble, same issue from 2022 is that the entrance theme songs are not that recognizable, and you will only know who it is pagka nag-focus na yung camera sa kanila.
Yeah, I like the men's Rumble. I preferred the women's Rumble more, but the men's Rumble was also pretty good. Tama nga si Rowan and si Emile when they said that they also used the men's Rumble to bring to head sort of a lot of the men's storylines, diba? You got the Usos starting things off, and that was good. I honestly thought that they were going to make Jay at least Final Four. Or, yeah, tama si Jay. At least Final Four. Kasi he was in there a while. Diba? And even him and Jimmy mixing it up also took a while. So I at least thought that he would play a little bit more a significant role in the win, in the decision. But I'm glad that he was there for however long that was. And I am also a little disappointed na mukha na naman loser si Karrion Kross. Like, sayang lahat ng special effects na binigay sa kanya. Diba? Di man lang siya ginawang monster. Yeah, well, that's what happened in the end. Nagsapakan lang sila ni Bobby Lashley. And I guess, yes, that's the end of their story. But I mean, the guy is a huge beast. Diba? At least make him dominant. Kawawa lang siya ulit, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, sorry. Another thing I like in this Rumble match pala is that some of these guys are from the 2008 roster. So it's like it felt like a throwback. So Lashley was there, Carlito was there, Kofi was there, Cody is there. So yeah, it was pretty special kasi it reminds me of SmackDown versus Raw.
No, I don't rate Rumbles too deeply. It's a spectacle. It's a spectacle for the sake of it's a lot of novelty. It's a lot of being in the moment. And it's weird for people to try and dissect and critique yung mga performance ng mga tao during the Rumble proper. But when you're like the last three, the last two, the final four, that's when it gets really important. And for the most part, Triple H has been placing a good premium on making sure that the last stretch, yung final eliminations, they're really, really dramatic and intense. It's really hard fought. You don't just throw people off the top rope unceremoniously, even though that's kind of what happened to CM Punk here. But that was after, a hard fought final couple of minutes, diba?
Medyo warranted naman yun. Kasi dapat sila mga 20 minutes pa eh.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, not for yeah. I think that Triple H has been 2 for 2 in Royal Rumbles since taking over from Vince. So I like that about him. I feel that this is my comment that I'm for the Women's Rumble. Both of them were the new results rather were really earned by the end, and it's a testament to the performers themselves, but also a testament to how it was booked to go down.
Let me ask you guys these questions. First off, Pat McAfee, what did you think of him getting a spot, going up to the apron, seeing it wasn't worth it, and then eliminating himself?
I would say na sayang yung slot, pero at the same time, kailangan din natin ng comedy. I mean, our truth is there, pero kailangan natin ng comedy kasi medyo seryoso yung bakbakan all throughout the match. And this has always been my favorite na there would be an NPC involved in a wrestling match, though he didn't fight them. Pero like the fact that Pat McAfee came from the commentary table, removes his headset and joined the Royal Rumble match, gets up in the ring, pero he throws himself out. It's still funny to me. Sayang nga lang yung slot. It could have been Trick Williams or someone from NXT.
Yeah, I did not like it at all. Not one bit. I'm still not sold on Pat McAfee as a wrestling commentator simply because he puts himself over way too much for a commentator. Like, calm down, dude. Call the match, diba? Pero at the same time, this spot, which was supposed to be humorous, actually confuses me. Because before his number was even called and his music hit, everything was normal. Once the music dropped, he acted like it was a surprise. Na parang, bakit ako kasali? Diba? And then sila Michael Cole had to be like, yeah, go and jump in there. You can headline WrestleMania. I was like, okay. So he takes off his little headset and he hangs his coat.
I'm enjoying how much this is riling you up.
He just jumps inside the ring, looks at Omos, and he's like, oh, no, I can't do it. And then he leaves. And he was like, joke lang, kaya ko to. And then he's like,
Hindi pala.
Hindi pala, joke lang ulit yun. And then he spends like 10 minutes doing that whole thing. Like, anong point nun, Pat McAfee? Cool ka tignan, diba? Sayang sayang talaga.
No, I get what Chino's trying to say. It's kind of like my pet peeves with WWE booking na you put on Raw or SmackDown. Wala pa pala kayong main event for the evening. You promote a show with no main event. You're gonna make it during the show itself. So what if nothing happens that necessitates booking a main event? What if no one has a confrontation in the ring that requires them to go up to your general manager and say, I want this guy for tonight. It's one of those internal logic things that also drives me insane. It's one of those things that did drive controversy, but thankfully not as big as other controversies from this week. One of those things, we've been doing this for too long. This is the second Rumble. We're what, 30, 40 minutes deep. So
Yeah.
anything that makes it go faster, I'm totally fine with.
Ikaw, Rowan, any violent reactions kay Pat McAfee? Or are you good?
Ito, last na, when his music hit, by the way, and before he even goes into the ring, parang I thought it was a rib to him. Pero when he starts acting in the ring, okay, this scripted tong part na to. He was directed to do
Hopefully,
this.
right? Jesus. It's a Royal Rumble. Hopefully these things are scripted.
They just shoot on Pat McAfee para ma-chop siya ni Omos. Is
Oh,
that what you're
nilip
trying to
pala siya
get,
eh, no?
Rowan? Because I would be down for that. Yeah.
It would have been hilarious if that was the case.
All right. Only 2 NXT talent were involved in the men's rumble, those being Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. Tapos meron mga rumors na nagsasabi na the Braun Breaker spot, from his entrance number to the people he eliminated to how he got eliminated, all of that was reportedly supposed to be for Brock Lesnar, but because of the controversy from the weekend, Brock Lesnar reportedly got pulled out and Braun Breaker was slotted in that place. So what did you think of that?
I think deserve niya naman yung spot na yun kasi whenever there's gonna be a Royal Rumble match, I want him to be in it. I think he appeared sometime, or was it last year? Did he appear before?
But it's not his first Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So I always wanted Braun Breaker to be on the main roster na. And this is pretty close enough. He just has to finish some storylines in NXT. I think he's good to go talaga sa main roster.
While I enjoy the tag team of Braun and Baron, I agree also that he is more than main roster ready. However, I don't want to put any weight on the rumor na pabalik lang siya kay Brock Lesnar kasi dapat si Brock Lesnar yun. Because we've already seen the Brock Lesnar at the Rumble showing. Diba? I would much rather, regardless of any controversy, I would much rather have that slot go to somebody that can actually benefit from it. Like a Braun Breaker. Diba? Like the many other NXT superstars that were part of both Rumbles. Diba? The NXT superstars had a great showing in either Rumble. And I'm appreciative of the fact that we got to see a full force Braun. Over the weekend, they released a snippet online of CM Punk training with some NXT superstars. And dun makikita mo na even si Punk is putting Braun over because of how much of a physical specimen that he is. And I'm glad that we got to see that during the Rumble match.
Actually, mas naniniwala pa nga ako na yung spot ni Brock na punta kay Pat McAfee. Yun lang.
No, I enjoyed Braun. Braun has always been good. He's always been that special kind of athlete na bagay sa wrestling. So he made the most of it. It's not his first Rumble, diba? He's been there before. Yep. So I know that it's not he doesn't have any nerves or anything. He's always in peak condition and made the most of it. I just hope that totoo yung sinabi niya na the main roster is home now. That's gonna change a few plans down in NXT, especially when we think or we assume that they're going to win the Dusty Classic. So, at least yung kasama niya is a main roster star talaga. So they can easily come back. They can easily bring Corbin back with him. So, it's I don't know if it means that he's going to take on the feuds Brock was going to have. It's going to be a bit of a mess if that's the case. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching him a lot.
Okay, a couple of other things before we move on to the Women's Rumble. Of the 30 Royal Rumble entrants, 18 of them were from Raw. 7 of them were from SmackDown, 2 unaffiliated at 2 NXT. Kind of weird now that I'm looking at it now. But, that's how it shook out. I think mas marami lang kasi yung tag team wrestlers na considered to be just exclusively in a tag team on SmackDown. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing here. Sami Zayn at number 30. Were you satisfied or was this also a Rey Mysterio / as you said earlier, Liv Morgan moment?
Before anyone, if that was the case, it didn't seem like it at Skinny Mike's. Everyone loved Sammy being back. I enjoyed Sammy being back. I thought it was a nice surprise. I'm not sure I would have put him at number 30 because number 30 to me has always been kind of the cowardly heel spot, but sometimes it is what it is. It wasn't disappointing. I don't know who else could have been there. Wala naman ako ibang surprise in mind. I knew Okada wasn't coming. I knew Okada wasn't coming in, so okay lang naman.
I actually thought 30 was gonna be Cena for some reason. Like either Cena in the Rumble, kahit sabi mo 5 minutes lang for listening. That would have been a
The Rock. Oh, The Rock pala.
The Rock. Diba? Pwede din. Diba? Kahit sabi mo labas lang sila for 5 minutes. Pa-out na sila agad. Diba? Sammy being back was also nice though. I've always loved Sami Zayn. It wasn't a Liv Morgan spot like people are saying. Even Liv Morgan wasn't a Liv Morgan spot. Come on, guys. Pero Sammy being back is always nice, and I'm glad he's back on TV again.
Mm-hmm. I did expect this Sami Zayn return, pero nawala siya sa isip ko na he should return or appear in the Royal Rumble match. I am aware na he took some time off, pero I expected him to enter somewhere around number 20, mga ganun. Pero not number 30. But I do know people at Skinny Mike's were wanting The Rock to enter at number 30.
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't get The Rock at number 30, so boo-hoo. All right, let's talk about the Women's Royal Rumble match, which is my pick of the week. Mas na-enjoy ko siya than the men's, even though mas cathartic yung release when Cody won as opposed to when Bayley won. The Women's Royal Rumble match was just so fun because of everybody involved. Like, starting off with Natalya, who continues her streak of being part of every Women's Rumble. Liv Morgan at the end getting to do the same thing. Naomi coming out at number 2. Jordan Grace getting to do her thing. And us on the commentary table getting to introduce Jordan Grace onto WWE programming. Talking about Kaden Carter and really caping for her because Pinay Pride and all of that stuff. Alba Fire. I was telling...
Hindi ba ginawa yun for Shotzi or...
Siyempre ginawa rin. We've done it for Shotzi before, but to do it for Kaden Carter now is new, diba? Because Kaden Carter prior to last year had not been on the main roster.
Right.
So to really build up Kaden Carter, Ate Kaden din to, half Pinay, all of that stuff. That was a source of pride for me. Alba Fire, I really enjoyed getting to contextualize yung kanyang character because si Carlo never watched NXT UK. Whereas, we did, right? So I got to say things like, siya forever champion ng NXT UK, 700 plus days as champion, etc. Ano pa ba? Jade Cargill. Jeez.
Yeah.
We were all waiting for Jade Cargill to arrive, and arrive she did. Grabe, sobrang nag-enjoy ako with how they presented her, how she matched up with Bianca, how she and Bianca teamed up for a quick second, and everybody trying to size up Jade Cargill. How they presented her basically the same way that she was presented in AEW, complete with the "A Storm is Coming" soundbite from her entrance. I'm not sure if the theme is a remix of her existing AEW. Remix now. Yeah, I haven't heard it clearly yet on its own, but sobrang daming fun moments coming out of the Rumble. Bayley's mini arcs in the Rumble, diba? How she was asking sina Asuka and Kyrie, is this the plan? Hindi tayo nag-usapan, hindi natin pinag-usapan, etc. And how it's going to set up yung eventual turn against Bayley from Damage Control's end. So much fun, so many fun little elements in this Women's Royal Rumble. Kaya siya talaga yung pick ko right after the show.
Yeah, my main thing from the entire Women's Rumble, so of course Jordan Grace as an Impact fan, but mostly Chelsea Green, who really played her part up really well. She knew what she was doing in the ring. Diba, nung una tinitis nila na baka maulit yung quickest Women's Rumble record. Pero
yung 5 seconds.
And then I also liked how she was a collateral in whatever everybody else was doing. Nadadamay siya yung natatamaan. It's very funny, very entertaining, to the point na I never really expected a wrestler like Chelsea Green to be a comedy wrestler. Didn't really counter as such, but she did make me laugh significantly no match there. So I
Carlo called her mother multiple times during commentary. Tawa-tawa ako dun. He comes out, unfurls that rainbow skirt thing, and he was like, Chelsea is mother.
Oh boy.
So my highlight of the night for me is the moment when Nia Jax is pinagtutulungan by most of these women, pero hindi na eliminate si Nia Jax. That's where I knew Jade Cargill was gonna come out. So ako pumunta na ako ng third floor that time to see the reactions, and I haven't caught the reactions pa kasi. And sakto, doon na lumabas si Jade Cargill. And then I rushed back to the second floor, and then doon na nangyayari yung nagbubugbugan si Jade Cargill tsaka si Nia Jax. And boy, I was really, really happy na Jade Cargill was able to lift Nia Jax off her feet. But she did it without a sweat, without breaking a sweat. And wow, she eliminated her. Pretty cool.
Okay. This was the bigger Rumble in terms of moments. Gets ko yan. It was so big that by the time they got to number 10, I felt like we had gone through an entire hour's worth of big stuff. So it's they really did what they could there, and I mean that in the best way. I think it's because wala masyadong big stories right now revolving around the women's championships, especially SmackDown's. SmackDown is really yung WWE Women's Championship is really, really dry right now. Kaya the big storyline push from the Rumble was going to Bayley. So I appreciated that. But when you have very little going on, like there's not much going on with Rhea either, you have a better canvas to bring in your big moments just for the pop, bring in your Jordan Graces, bring in your Jade Cargills, bring back Naomi, yung mga ganun. Kumbaga, ano siya, it's really simpler. Mas walang pinag-iisipan just to pop as much as you could, right? A lot of people complain that it wasn't as good wrestling wise as the men, but it's one of those things that the women don't have as much collective experience wrestling these matches. Like they only get to do it once a year, and
there have only been 7 of these, guys.
Exactly. A lot of people like to be hard on the women for not always getting everything right or smooth sa moves nila in a really messy match like this. Like I know how messy it could be, so let's cut them some slack and let's enjoy the fact that it was the fan servicey spectacle. I don't mean that in a perverted way, in a big surprise way. It was the most fan servicey Royal Rumble Triple H has given us so far. So that's why it's good. You're right in that the Cody win was more cathartic, but I think Triple H found a way to have the Women's Rumble hold up with the Men's Rumble.
Yeah, so there. Those are our picks of the week. If you want to add to the conversation, get your picks in there as well. It is at Wrestling2XPod on TikTok and on Twitter. In the meantime, we're going to be preparing for our live stream, which should be tomorrow, Thursday, 7 p.m. As usual, dito sa aming Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling podcast. Sa YouTube, same URL. Reminding everyone once again that if you want a viewing party for Elimination Chamber Perth, it'll be on February 24, Saturday, 8 p.m. our time, kasi same time zone as Perth. Let us know on facebook.com/wrestling podcast. Thank you so much to Babyface producer Jasper and everyone over at the Pod Network for all the work that they do for us here on the show. And thank you to every listener who continues to support our podcast. We're going to get out of here. We'll catch you on the live stream. On behalf of Ro Moran, Chino Liao, and Rowan ASH, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast. Out. Later, weirdos.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company,